Thanks for tuning in. I got myself a lovely salad today. A real nice healthy one. And to balance everything off, a couple of Balmorals. Used to buy these when I was a little kid all the time. With my paper out money. And my go-to bubbly. So I'm just going to dig in. So when I was at the store buying this stuff, I was standing there trying to decide what I wanted to buy. And I could hear the music on in the deli. And they were playing like an old song from the 60s that I was very familiar with. This is a chef's salad, by the way, with a lovely dressing on it, a ranch dressing. So I was standing there, deciding what I wanted to buy, and I could hear the music playing. And like I said, it was an old 60s tune, reminded me of some of the bands I'd seen as a kid. The very first rock concert I ever saw was like a teeny bopper bubblegum band called Dino, Desi, and Billy. And it was Dean Martin's son, Desi and Lucy Ernesta's son on the drums, and their high school friend, Billy Hinchey. And they had a trio, and they were actually pretty good. They were on Ed Sullivan, you know. They were just kids, you know. I think Desi was like 11 when they played on there, but by the time I saw him, I think Dino was about 16, and the rest were, you know, 14, 15, whatever. But I was so excited to see them because my sister was 3 years older than I was. Her and I went, but my oldest sister was 8 years older. She bought the tickets, and I remember it was a beautiful August evening in 1967, and we got a taxi cab to go down to the arena, and I'd never ridden in a taxi cab before, so it was a really big night for me. Back in those days, there was usually 3 bands on the stage. Not at the same time, but I mean there was like 3 acts, 2 before the headliner. And the first band was a band from Winnipeg called The Fifth. The second band was a band from Saskatoon called Witness Incorporated. And the lead vocalist Kenny Shields went on to join a band called Street Art for many years. But Dino, Desi, Billy came out. They were very good. But there was something that happened after the concert that stayed with me all my life. At the end of the concert, Desi, the drummer, threw his sticks in the audience, and this young girl grabbed the stick, and she picked it up. She was holding it like this, you know. She was just stoked. She had the stick. She had it in both hands. And another girl ran up right behind her, reached around, and grabbed it out of her hand and ran away. And that whole scenario lasted maybe 5 seconds, but it was something that I never forgot. And the message, and I've shared this with my children and many other people, the message that I got was, the minute you have something in your hand, there's always going to be somebody to try and take it away from you. Not to sound pessimistic, but really, you know. But that was a big night for me, to see a live band that I'd seen on Ed Sullivan The second band, and this is the band that I heard in the grocery store. The song I heard when I was buying this at the grocery store was Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter by Herman's Hermits. And I saw Herman's Hermits about a year later. They were playing an outdoor show at the exhibition grounds. And once again, there was two opening acts. The first one was an all-girl band, an all-girl rock band, which back in the 60s was not unheard of, but not very common. And they were called the Sect of Soul, and they were very good. The second band again was the band from Winnipeg called The Fifth. I remember the lead singer used to swing his mic around like Roger Daltrey. There's one thing I wanted to say about the Dino Desi Billy concert that I forgot to say that. There was a couple of elderly women sitting in front of us who were probably in their 70s, and they're sitting there like this the whole time that the opening acts were on. Kind of funny. So the third concert I went to, I was about 11 or 12 I think. They were called the Troggs. They were from England. You may not have heard of the Troggs, but I know you've heard this song. It's called Wild Thing. You know, Wild Thing, you make my heart sing. You make everything, you know that one. Four-piece band. They come out. They're all wearing the same suits, right? Look like pajamas because they're all striped. But they also did a song called Love Is All Around, which is a very beautiful song. It's been covered by a lot of artists. It's a really nice song. You should Google it. Love Is All Around. Wow, some big pieces of lettuce here. And whatever else. Got some spinach. Anyway, the Troggs are playing their set, and the drummer, his cymbal, it starts wobbling back and forth like that, and the lead singer just doesn't even miss a note. He's just singing away. He runs over, grabs the cymbal, runs to the side of the stage, and just throws it off the stage. I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Now, I also saw Paul Revere and the Raiders. They were pretty good too. I think I was about 13 when I saw them. 12, 13. Now, back in those days, we had this event. It would happen every summer. It was called Wood Deck, like Woodstock. We had a lot of wood decks back there, but it was like a one day out of the year during the summer they'd have bands playing all day, just local bands. And it was a really good day. It was a lot of fun. It was like an outdoor festival. Outdoor festivals were really big back then. Very popular. usually they're trying to have like a more well-known band as the final act, you know, opposed to, should have told me I had some green stuff on my face, opposed to some of the more local bands. Anyway, this one band, they're from Edmonton. They were called Privilege. And the lead singer back then was a guy named Steve Perry, who went on to sing for Journey. This is good. My friend Richard, his dad was a radio announcer. And one night, he got his tickets to see Anne Murray. Richard and I were about 14. I wasn't an Anne Murray fan at all. But, you know, it was a free concert. I figure if it's free, why not go, right? It was something to do. So anyway, Rich and I go to this concert. It's at the, you know, the auditorium, you know, the big theater. And, you know, everybody's there all dressed up in their, you know, their tuxedos and suits and whatever. So the seats were great. They're like, you know, center stage, about 6 rows back. The opening act was a guy named John Allen Cameron. So after he came out and did his thing, there was an intermission. So Richard and I went out to the lobby or foyer, whatever, to have a smoke. And, you know, all the people are standing around, they're all, you know, having a drink. And there's me and Richard in our blue jeans and our brand new jean jackets. We have brand new matching jean jackets. Back in those days, jean jackets are like, when you bought them, they were dark blue, you know, like blue jeans. They didn't call them blue jeans for nothing. They were blue, like almost purple. They were so dark. Stiff as cardboard. My friend Brian used to say he liked wearing brand new blue jeans because he could wear them for months at a time and you couldn't see the dirt. Sadly, both my friends Richard and Brian passed away. I see a lot of the local Canadian bands like Chilliwack, Lighthouse. The last concert I saw in Saskatoon before I moved to the coast. 3 bands. The opening, or pardon me, the headliners were Savoy Brown. It was kind of like a lineup change. The original Savoy Brown became Foghat. So this was the new Savoy Brown. The second band was Man from Nazareth Band. They did that song, I think Springsteen wrote it, called Blinded by the Light, you know. Now the opening act was the act that everybody was talking about. When I got to school the next day, out of the 3 bands, the only band everyone was talking about was the opening act. Everybody just went on about how great they were. Back to drinking my bubbly. The opening act was the band. Now this was in 1974. Okay, May of 1974. It cost me $4.50 to see this concert. And I still got my ticket as a souvenir. The opening act was Kiss. They completely stole the show. I'd never seen a band like that. I'd never seen a band with stage makeup. They come on, bang, big neon sign. Peter Criss does a drum solo. The drum platform starts rising up in a fog machine, this fog. And Gene Simmons walks to the side of the stage, grabs a candle, does his fire breathing thing. They were actually doing like Black Sabbath tunes and stuff like that. They had very little original material, only one album out. About a year later, they're one of the biggest bands in the world. Now, I'm no Kiss fan, but I'll tell you, they have my full and undivided attention the whole time they're on the stage. When I moved to Vancouver Island, I was chopping at the bit to go to Vancouver to see a concert. The first concert I saw was Deep Purple. Once again, two bands, besides the headliners. The first band was a band called Elf. The lead singer was a guy named Ronnie James Dio. Elf would later become Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. The second band, and this band stole the show, was the Electric Light Orchestra. This was still 1974, November 17th, 1974. I paid $6 to see that show. Back then I had to send away for the tickets. I think it wasn't Ticketmaster, it's called Box Office or something. So I sent a check. There was me and two other guys that I talked into going. So that was a total of $18. I think I made the check out for 20 or something just to cover any handling costs. About a week and a half later I get a letter. I think, it's probably the price, send back my check. Open up, there's 3 tickets. Man, was I stoked. Wow. So I go to the concert. First concert in Vancouver. It was really good. Deep Purple was good. But Electric Light Orchestra stole the show. Back then they still had all their cellos and violins. I saw them years later and still they had a bunch of synthesizers and stuff, electronic drums. Which I didn't care for. Some guy's having a shower. That's what that noise is. Second band I saw in Vancouver was Pink Floyd. Saw them on my birthday in 1975, my 18th birthday. $7.50 to see Pink Floyd. And the 50 cents was the handling charge. They were the only band. They came out. It was the Dark Side of the Moon tour. They did some new stuff at first from Metal and Wish You Were Here. Metal was the album before Dark Side of the Moon. They did some of that. Then they did some stuff from Wish You Were Here, which hadn't been released yet. Took an intermission, came back and did the whole entire Dark Side of the Moon. Absolutely unbelievable. All the effects, everything synchronized beautifully. Saxophone, everything that was on the record they did live, which is not an easy feat. Then that same year I saw a band called Troggs. Can't remember the name of the first band, but the second band was a band called REO Speedwagon. And about 4 years later, they'd be one of the biggest bands in the world too. Also saw a few local Canadian bands like Trooper and Red Rider, Chilliwack. Red Rider was really good. Well, they were all good. First time in 1978. No, just before that I saw a band called Goose Creek Symphony. They're from the United States, kind of like Ozark Mountain Daredevils. I got a few of their records. One of their records is called Do Your Thing But Don't Touch Mine. They're like a sort of a country type thing. I really enjoyed them. 78 was a good year for concerts for me. That was the first time I saw Heart. And there was an opening, I can't remember the name of them, but they were okay. Then I also saw, actually the Heart was in the fall of 77, 78. The first concert I saw in 78 was Eric Clapton. The opening act were three guys from the Byrds, Roger McGuinn, Gene Clark, and Chris Hillman. Clapton was doing the slow hand tour, Lay Down Sally, Cocaine. Then in June of 78 I saw Bruce Springsteen. I'm sure he was barely 30 years old, but wow, was he ever good? Holy cow. So I'm at the Queen Elizabeth Auditorium. I've never seen a performer with that much energy. Man. Just flying around the stage. And that summer they had this concert called the Summer Sunday. 4 bands. Nick Gilder, Bob Welsh, Little River Band, and once again Heart. By this time Heart had already evolved. They had changed quite a bit. But Little River Band, played before Heart. They were, out of the 4 bands, they were the 3rd band on. And they were so good. Those Summer Sunday festivals, it was held at the football stadium. It was a beautiful Sunday. It was such a nice day. I used to love going to those festivals when I was a kid. But Little River Band, a lot of their records are kind of syrupy and sappy. But when you see them live, they're a lot different. They're really good. They're like a really awesome nightclub band on steroids. Man, they could just really play, like really tight, very professional. A lot of energy. Then for their encore, they came out and did a bunch of 50s stuff, like Return to Sender and really good. And then November the 11th, that same year, I saw Bob Dylan. Man, when I heard he was coming to Vancouver, I knew I had to go. I got some pretty good pictures of that concert as well. That was the same year he did the Live at the Budokan album. He was great. I saw an Elvis impersonator. There's 3 Elvises doing an Elvis impersonation. The younger one, like the 50s Elvis, and the one from about the early 70s. movies, like, you know, the Hawaii thing. And then the later Elvis where he had gained weight, whatever. All three performers were fantastic. This is good. I really enjoyed this. I also saw Nazareth. The opening band was a Canadian band called the Guess Who. But of course, it was a different lineup. I mean, there's a band right now called the Guess Who. The only original members, the drummer Gary Peterson, but they're touring all over. They're on tour all the time. Had to have something to go with that salad. Don't want to be too healthy. Then I seen Burton Cummings. He was really good. By this time I was probably about 20 years old. No. Yeah, about thereabouts, I guess. Something like that. No, it's about maybe 23. And I remember I brought my camera. I went up to take some pictures right from the stage. The security guy taps you on the shoulder. And I said, I'm with the newspaper. He goes, newspaper? No, he said, are you with the newspaper? And I said, yeah, the high school newspaper. He goes, okay. I guess I must have looked young for my age, but I got some great pictures. Burton Cummings had a 10-piece band. He was really good. Saw the Powder Blues Band. Doug and the Slugs. Those guys are good. Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. Then when I was taking the chef's training course in 81 to 82, me and one of the ladies there, we hung out together, Carol. A lot of fun to hang out with. She was a Tom Petty fanatic, so we went and saw Tom Petty. These are good. The opening act was supposed to be the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Stevie Ray Vaughan's brother played in that band, but one of the band members was sick, so they couldn't play. So Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers extended their concert, which was fine by me. They were really good. They're one of those bands that when they play, they sound just like the record. That was in 81. That was an interesting day because we went over there to Vancouver, me and Carol. And we got there early because we didn't have tickets. We had to go buy tickets in Vancouver at some department store or something. And she gave me the money. I went up there. I had to go upstairs. I came back, said it was all sold out. And she was just totally bummed. I said, it's sold out over time. We won't get tickets. So just go back home. So we got in the car, started driving, and she's just not happy. And I whipped out the tickets and said, just kidding. So she starts punching me. She was so happy. And then we went to Stanley Park, had a few beer, and I passed out. And I woke up, I hear this noise, and it was all these guys playing cricket. That's what woke me up. And I passed out in the hot sun. It was so hot. I was like red like a lobster. I had a Zodiac necklace. And my sunburn was so red that the Zodiac necklace, where that was, it was still white underneath. And it stayed that way for about 6 months. But later, in the evening before the concert, we went for Chinese food. And I was sitting there like this. Oh, like, you know, it's like when you've had a few beers on and you pass out and you wake up. Plus, I was sunburned, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be okay. I thought I might have to go to the hospital. I was just so burned, just groggy. And Carol said, now she's eating a Chinese food. She says, well, just eat up, you'll feel better. So I did. By the time we got to the concert, it was kind of nice and cool in there, and I was out of the sun, and it was good. Our tickets were up in the stands, but we managed to sneak down, and we stood in front of the stage. It was great. After that, doing very well at that time. And they were so good, so good. Peter Wolf, the front man, I would put him in the top 5 performers for showmanship, just like Mick Jagger. I mean, I would almost say he's second only Mick Jagger. He can really handle a crowd. He really knows what he's doing. This is kind of gooey. Oh, that's good. Geils was promoting the Love Stinks album. Then I saw, in '86, I saw Bob Dylan and Tom Petty together. They shared a stage together. That was really good. Another super hot day that day. Expo was on then. I saw The Who in 1989. Man, were they good. Wow. I was 14th row on the floor. Kind of stage left. I was deaf in this ear for 3 days. The drummer that they had, Simon Phelps, wow, was he ever good? Then I saw Pink Floyd for the second time. My ex and I went, there was the Division Bell tour. You know what? I missed a concert. '89, I saw the Rolling Stones right after The Who. The Who was in the summer, and the Stones were in November of '89. And that's interesting because I wanted to go so bad. I remember back in, when I was taking shift training back in '81, they were playing down in Seattle. And coincidentally, the Geils band was the opening act back then for the Stones. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, I said, I want to see the Stones so bad. These guys are in their 30s. They're not going to be around much longer. I thought, next stop is in their 40s. They're not going to tour after that. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. So in '89, I was looking to go see the Stones. Had no one to go with. Nobody seemed to be interested. They couldn't get away, couldn't get the money. I know. By this time, concert tickets were starting to go up in price. To be in the nosebleed section, you're probably looking at about $30, which was, I know it sounds cheap now, but it wasn't back then. So, this one day I just thought, I gotta go. So, I scrounged up all the money I had. I had a bunch of coins rolled up that I was saving, took down the bank, got some cash for those. Made arrangements to have my kids picked up from school, left my wife a note, and off I went. Got on the ferry to go to Vancouver, and I knew I had to buy a ticket at some point. My plan was to get one off a scalper because the concert was sold out, so I didn't have a ticket. So on the ferry, and some guy just came up and said, "Do you want to buy a ticket?" And I said, "Yeah." So I bought one. I think I paid like $30, I think. And I was up in the nosebleed section, but I didn't care. I was in the building. That's all I cared about. So I was driving my old $300 beater, my old '69 Acadian. It was a sister to the Nova that I used to have. No paint on a real beater. was a band called Living Color. They were really good. So the Stones came out, played, very good. After that, I got in the car, had to drive back to the ferry terminal, catch the ferry back to the island. Now the concert never ended till 11. The last ferry left at 11. So I knew I had to sleep in the ferry lineup. So I was just praying my car would make it, because it was one of those cars kind of chugging along, and I thought, if it's going to die when I get home, not now. But it made it. So I got to the ferry lineup, got in line. Some guy pitched a tent on the grass. But I stayed in my car, and it was cold. It was November of '89. I was freezing. So about every hour I'd fire my car up for about 15 minutes. Get some heat going. I kept waking up. I was so cold at one point. I woke up and I could see the silhouettes of boats and buildings on. Daylight's coming just around the corner. I was very happy. Once I got on that ferry, man, I grabbed myself a hot coffee and some breakfast. It was a good night. And my ex, she got a real chuckle out of that. She was just happy that because she knew how badly I wanted to see them. So then after that, her and I went and saw Pink Floyd a few years later, Division Bell tour. And then I saw the Stones again. I took my 9-year-old son. That was in '94, because he was born in '85, so he was 9 years old. Went and saw the Stones, and that was a concert that he really enjoyed. He was only 9 years old, but he just couldn't believe it. And he recognized a lot of their songs, because I'd always play them at home, like Tumbling Dice and all that. And we stayed at my friend Richard's house, our condo. He put us up for the night. Richard was the same guy I went and saw Anne Marie with years and years earlier. And then I started losing interest in concerts, mainly because there wasn't really anybody that wanted to see that badly. I mean, recently we've had Paul McCartney, Elton John, and the Eagles go through Vancouver, but tickets are crazy. And it's not that I don't have the money, it's just not how I want to spend my money. You know, for some of these concert tickets, I could go to Mexico for a week. And really, there's no one I want to, aside from maybe Paul McCartney, there's not a lot of people I really want to see. And I remember McCartney played in Vancouver, this is maybe 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And the ticket prices were crazy, people were paying a couple of grand to be on the floor. Good Lord. And then, so anyways, the last couple of concerts I saw, Alice Cooper came to town. He did 2 shows, and he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I first heard of Alice Cooper when I was a teenager, and I thought he was kind of a fascinating character, and I liked a lot of his music, but I was never a real fanatic, And I don't think I would have paid to go to Vancouver to see him. But when he came to town, he did 2 shows, and his band, Orianne, the young guitar, and the drummer they were all great. I mean, just a really, really good show. I mean, I was so impressed, just really good. And I got nothing bad to say about it. And I took my youngest son, who at that time was he 25? Yeah, he was 25, and he had never been to a concert before. I mean, what a contrast. I've been going to concerts for years at that point, and he had never been to one. So him and I went and saw Alice Cooper, and he was very impressed. And the next year, this is the last concert I've seen, was the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. They were a band I always wanted to see when they came. I went and saw them, and they were was younger, concerts is all I thought about, I guess I'm getting to be an old man. I don't really care that much anymore, but it's nice to go see somebody that's really good. But anyways, that was my concert ramble. Anyways, I thank you, my friends, for tuning in. I love hearing from you. I've said it once, I'll say it again, that I may not respond to your comments, but I read every comment I get. I read every single one, and I appreciate them. Anyways, you take care, okay? Look after yourselves and each other,